Today we're talking about bilateral push-up progressions that you can do on the gymnastics rings. This is excluding progressions that use more weight on one arm, like one arm push-ups, and it's just showing you ways to get stronger with both arms doing the shared amount of work. We start off, of course, with the incline push-ups. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do this with having the straps at an angle like this, or you can do it with the straps being of a shorter length but vertical, so your body is still at an angled position, as you see here, which requires less stress, less of the weight is on your hands. You can play around with angles of the rings, turning them in, turning them out. When you want to make it more difficult, you simply back up or you lower the rings down by lengthening out the straps. So you're now working more against the angle of gravity, and there's more weight on your hands to facilitate greater resistance. While you're doing this, a couple things to keep in mind is the position of the rings when you're starting off and the position of the rings at the bottom of the position. A little more forward, a little more back. Figure out what feels best to you. This is one of the great things about gymnastics rings or suspension trainers is you get to dial in these perfect little technical tweaks. Also pay attention to shoulder position. Shoulders down and back. Keeping your back tight is what you want to have so that you have the most amount of tension in your chest and triceps. Also, there's a little bit of a tendency for people to have their elbows come out to the side like this. This with suspension straps tends to put more stress on the rotator cuff because it kind of pulls your hands upwards like this. Instead, keeping your elbows in closer to the side is preferable because now what you're doing is you're resisting this torquing motion from the straps by using the muscles in your chest, your back, your shoulders to pull inwards. Of course, you keep getting lower and lower until you're eventually close to the floor like this. I recommend starting on your knees, tightening up the muscles in your arms, chest, and shoulder, and then bringing your knees off the floor to facilitate a good amount of tension throughout your entire pushing chain. You want to make sure that your shoulders are not shrugging up and forward, keeping your neck visible the whole time. You don't want to shrug upwards as you lower yourself down. From here, you can do a foot elevated position. This is usually something I find people put too much elevation with, and what some people call a decline style push-up. With the rings, your hands are naturally a little bit elevated off the floor, so you're probably going to want to use something that's only about 6 to 12 inches up. So this again brings a little bit more weight onto your hands, and you're looking for all of these little technical details that may change with increased resistance, like decreased range of motion, and of course put your knees back down on the floor to finish the set. From here, bending the knee. If you're so close to the floor that you can't get the knee up into your chest, then I recommend this variation here, where you're bending so the foot is behind you. This again brings more weight onto your hands, and it also gives you a little bit more of a stability challenge. Make sure you do it equally the same on both sides. And then you have this kind of forward reaching dip sort of variation, which is kind of like a push-up where you're leaning forward, bending at the hips. You can also tuck the knees up if you like. The bottom, it's kind of a bit like a push-up variation. Again, you want to have a good amount of flexibility and mobility in your shoulders, so that way you're not having too much of this shrugging up motion. But for me personally, I much prefer just having normal, good old-fashioned dips once you get to this position. You're going to have a little bit more resistance, I find, in the triceps and in the chest, and it's a little easier on the shoulders as well. So there you go, standard progressions for push-up variations here on the rings. Let me know if you have questions below. Be fit, live free.